Hey everybody, welcome to day 151 on the CDT. It's the second to last day if everything goes well. It was a sunny, clear day today, absolutely gorgeous. Very thankful for that. And I hiked 21.5 miles. I hiked over a pass this morning. It was almost 3,000 foot of elevation gain, and then lost it hiking a lot of it, not all of it, hiking into mini Glacier. The views were absolutely beautiful. And then this afternoon I hiked towards camp over at Poya Lake. I believe it's how it's pronounced, Poia, Poya Lake. And got here about 5:30, grabbed my water, set up most of the tent, and filtered a couple liters, and now I'm going to go cook. But it's hard to believe today's hiking's finished. So there's one more hiking day tomorrow, and there's one night tonight. And so far, no grizzlies, knocking on wood. Hopefully that continues. I just realized I'm in the woods, so I can actually knock on wood. So hopefully tonight, cook, get in the tent, no bear activity or any other issues, and then hike tomorrow. I'm less than 20 miles away from the border. Yesterday I passed 2,800 miles. With today's mileage, I think I'm around like 2,821 or 22 or something like that. So I look to be, with tomorrow's mileage, if all goes well, I look to be around 2,840 miles. So if you add the 90 miles for the road walk to get around the forest closure, and we lost that 90 miles, that'd be 2,930. And then the Gila alternate was another 90 miles, so that would be 3,020. And the reason I'm over 3,000 with that math is because of my side trips, the 25 miles-ish round trip to Molass Lake Campground, and then the 20-ish miles round trip into Creed. And then a few of the other alternates I took were actually longer than the CDT. I've decided not to go back to New Mexico. I was going to go back all the way until probably halfway through Montana, and Montana's a long state, nearly 900 miles. And I think once I got to like through Butte and up to Helena, I was just getting some major hiker fatigue, and the videos from Helena to East Glacier shows that fatigue, as well as the mental fatigue, hiking fatigue, and just the stress of hiking through grizzly bear country. I think that's it for like hiking news and that kind of stuff. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't want to do it tomorrow, because tomorrow should be like a celebration of like, hey, you hiked from Mexico to Canada in a traditional through hike with continuous steps. So today I'll do it. I've kind of hinted at it in the previous videos. Like, you'll be able to go back and see, I don't know if it's a deterioration or thought process or what to call it. And you'll get hints of it there. And I kind of hint at it, I think in one or two of the videos since leaving East Glacier in the last couple days. But I almost stepped off the CDT in East Glacier. And I think many hikers, they have a moment where they're sitting there and they decide to step off, and then they come back, or they're really thinking about stepping off. And I was talking to another thru hiker who's kind of around me. I don't think he'll be around me anymore. I think he took a different alternate to get to Chief Mountain for tomorrow, but his trail name is Spurs. And he was mentioning that he knew quite a number of people who stepped off in Wyoming. And I'm sure people are going to ask, like, hey, you got through New Mexico, you got through like difficult Colorado with all the elevation, you got across the Great Basin in Wyoming, and um, either in the Great Basin or in the winds or somewhere, you decided to call it quits. There was actually a hiker that I hiked around of a week or so ago, and she actually stepped off the trail and returned home. She's from a different country, so she left the United States, and then she regretted her decision after a couple days, and she came back. And so she actually has to go back to Wyoming and pick up some miles because she has a gap there, because she leaped ahead to where her friends were hiking because she wanted to make sure she was going to get finished in Glacier before the snow hit. And so she's got to go back and finish that gap. And so most hikers actually, they have a moment where they say, you know what, I think I'm going to step off. And I'm sure if you've watched most of the videos, you may think, oh, it had to be in New Mexico when you're having those foot issues or the shoe issues, or it had to be after 21 out of 25 days of rain in Colorado in the beginning of Wyoming, or it had to be when you lost too much weight and you had to take a 00 in Pinedale in Wyoming, or it had to be when you were so frustrated with like the rock carpet and the endless switchbacks and the pointless up and downs around Butte and Helena and Montana, and all of those would be valid, but I never thought about stepping off until I got to East Glacier, less than 100 miles away from the finish. And when I got into East Glacier, I had just had rain 5 of the previous 10 days, hiking days since Helena. And that last day was actually a mixture of rain and snow. The day I hiked into East Glacier was 19 miles, and the rain/snow stopped somewhere between like 7 or 8 a.m. However, the plants all had their water, and because there was no wind or sun, the plants held on to their water. And so the plants at 8 a.m. were just as wet as the plants at 2 p.m. because of the lack of sun and wind. And that meant that when I brushed the plants, because the trail was overgrown, so when I brushed the plants at 2 p.m., I got just as wet as 8 a.m. So that entire day, like by the time I got to East Glacier, I was just saturated. And it seemed like I'd actually walked through a whole entire day of rain. And I think the stress of, hiking solo through all of Montana, or most of Montana by that point, but especially going through the 2 wilderness areas after Helena, where like a local called it the quote unquote real grizzly bear country, and facing the fact that when I got into Glacier, there are no other hikers around, so I was going to have to hike through Glacier solo, more grizzly bear country. And I ended up hiking through Glacier solo anyway, just because Dino got sick, unfortunately. But I sat there and thought to myself, Glacier is supposed to be a highlight, and I'm coming into East Glacier in a poor mental attitude because of the precipitation, because of hiking alone, not seeing anybody for 7 days, and I don't want to just race through Glacier just to get mileage and finish this thing. Like, I wanted to take my time in Glacier and enjoy it and be here when things were open. And the fact that half of East Glacier, including the laundromat, was closed for the season, the fact that they'd already closed the stores over at Mini Glacier, and 2 medicines, the services were limited. It's because I got here so late, many things closed, and I wasn't going to get to go to Waterton because it would be difficult to hike that section and then get back into, like, come back to the country and then find like shuttles and services to get back to where I needed to catch a train or plane or whatever it is. And I didn't know what the weather was going to do. And at that point, when I got into East Glacier, like, I just hiked through a bunch of rain, and then the forecast called for 100% precipitation on the day I was planning on hiking out. Um, I mean, it just seemed like I wasn't going to get to enjoy Glacier the way I wanted to. And so I called my friend Charlie, and I asked Emily or Zach, the folks who are sending my resupply, if one of them could chat with me. And I wanted to get different perspectives on it. Charlie, because he actually lived in northern Montana and spent a considerable time in Glacier, and he knew, the area and the grizzly bear and situation, all that kind of stuff. And then I want to talk to Emily or Zach just because of their perspective of, what I'd gone through, because they had to send my resupplies and they had to, adjust dates based on where I was. And I mean, they helped me get a new pack when I needed a new pack in Silverthorne. So talking with both of them was good. And then I slept on, the decision. I didn't make that decision Tuesday when I got into East Glacier. But I wanted Glacier to be a highlight and not just an afterthought or something I was just running through. Thankfully, we got good weather. The last 3 days have been good weather. Hopefully tomorrow, if the forecast holds true, it's supposed to be sunny and clear as well. And I've had some beautiful views and got to see some amazing things here in Glacier. But I definitely want to come back, and I want to hike up to Waterton and spend 5 or 6 days next August when things are open and the weather's nice, um, and actually enjoy the park itself, because I'd never been to Glacier, and it was one thing I was looking forward to on this trip. So I guess, to be honest, like, I'm sure people watching the videos are like, oh, he went through a rough time there or whatever. But I had my moment of stepping off, and surprisingly, it was 99 miles or 91 miles or whatever it is away from the border. And some people probably are going to be confused by the fact that I almost stepped off 4 days away, but the prospect of just not enjoying Glacier and it just being a rainy slog to get to the finish just didn't appeal to me. Thankfully, that hasn't been the case. Oh, a mouse just ran across my camp. That's unfortunate. I hope it's not gonna gnaw to try to get some sweat or something through my tent. Anywhoozy, fortunately, it hasn't been the case that Glacier was, crappy weather. It's been all right. The first day was a bit spotty, but other than that, it's been wonderful, and I've enjoyed my time in here. Hopefully, again, I can get through tonight without any animal issues, not just grizzlies, but also mice. And I can get through tomorrow without any animal issues, and get to the trailhead and the terminus and be finished. So, yeah, the second to last day, I guess not really coming clean, but discussing that issue with you folks, I thought was important. And then tomorrow can be a celebration. So thanks for watching the videos. I'm gonna go cook and eat dinner. I hope everyone's doing well, and I'll talk to you folks soon. Bye.